What's up, everybody? It's Ashley, founder of the Brown Gyal Diary, and I am feeling good today because this is literally our first podcast of the year.
It is.
We've been a little
one for 2025 yet.
I know we've been a little MIA podcast wise, but we've been planning a lot of good things. Like, you know, sometimes people say like, yeah, I've been away and we have good things cooking. We actually have good things cooking. Like, we have a campaign launching very soon.
Our women's wellness series has started. We had our first event this past February.
And that was amazing. Like, we had a good amount of women come out. It was like really intimate, really beautiful. A lot of people left feeling like very, very, very full.
It was very refreshing.
And refreshing.
It was refreshing.
Full in like energy and emotion, not like full that they ate too much.
But we did have good treats. We had a whole platter of like pine tarts, cheese rolls, bean cake.
Yes.
Just saying, if you want to come to the next one, we have treats.
Yeah, and that was actually donated by a Caribbean supermarket. So if you check out our Instagram, you can check them out. And it was led by Shanti Prasad. So Shanti's actually going to lead another one, but we have a few others, amazing ones coming up before that. But I'm excited today because we have two really amazing guests.
Yeah.
Well, first, I'm really excited because Carnival's over. Trinidad Carnival's over, and I missed it. And I like feel so good that it's like over, and I don't have to watch.
You don't have to
the
watch
snaps and the videos. I've like first of all, Carnival Monday and Tuesday are the 2 days of the year when I'm not there that I just sit on my phone all day. Like, I can't focus. I can't do anything else. That's all I do is just like watch the videos all day. I love it. It's not healthy. It's not healthy, but you know, it just like fills me up. So I feel good that it's kind of over, but I did enjoy that. But nonetheless, we have a lot to get through today. So I do want to jump into it.
We have a packed conversation. It's going to be very fun, just very exciting. I'm excited.
Yeah, and a lot of you have probably seen it already on your timelines, on your feed. BGD has actually shared some of their posts throughout the last couple of months. But the one-day film based on an Indo-Caribbean woman is coming out very, very soon. I'm really excited today because we have some amazing guests here.
Yeah.
And if some of you may have seen it, Brown Gyal Diary actually shared some of their posts in the last couple of months. You'll actually, if you do watch the film, you'll see a Brown Gyal Diary post in it, which is pretty nice. And I'm actually really excited because it is based on an Indo-Caribbean woman and her experience, a Muslim Indo-Caribbean woman, which has obviously never been done before. And we are getting to dive really deep into the film with them. So I'm going to now introduce Rebecca Ablack, who is a writer, comedian, and actor, and Yazmeen Kanji, who is founder of Films with a Cause and a director. So let's jump right into it.
Yeah, let's jump right into it. So welcome to our guests. I know, like, I just feel like we should have like a applause or something right now. Just like...
Right. Maybe we can add it in.
I don't know. It's feeling like a talk show.
I know, it did feel like a talk show. I think that's why it was a little...
Like, to walk in, like the Drew Barrymore show.
That's what I'm saying.
Just like, give a
give the wave. Do the Queen's wave.
I think that's why I was a little cringe and awkward when I just introduced them. So sorry, because it was feeling talk show-ish. But anyway, whatever.
It's okay. So nonetheless, welcome to you both. And to start us off on the podcast, what we always like to do is just a little wellness check, a little temperature check with everybody. And just, you know, how's your day? How's it going? So on a scale of 1 to 10, we can start with you, Yazmeen. How's your day going? How are you feeling today?
I would say an 8. Like, I feel pretty good. It's like the beginning of Ramadan. Like, I really look forward to this month. And having a little bit of a sense of like structure around my eating. My eating habits are not good. So this is actually really helpful for me in terms of now having like a really strict schedule for like my prayer times, my eating times, and like more intentional social situations and like community settings, which I'm really excited for this month. So I'm feeling pretty good, but I am in a bit of a open space work-wise right now where like I am in between projects for the first time in like years. So it's a bit uncomfortable, which is why I'm not a 10.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I hear that.
But I mean, I think an 8 is still really strong.
We like to hear an
8.
And I went to the Georgia Smith concert last night.
Ooh.
I was there. Nice.
So good.
She's so good.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
I know.
Yeah.
So Becky, how about you? What are you at?
I'd say I'm also at an 8.
Mm-hmm.
I'm feeling good. It's been really just nice, like sitting here and talking, just the four of us for a little bit, and and I'm kind of like enjoying listening, and I'm looking forward to like a really lovely conversation. I also had a really nice day today. I made ravioli yesterday, and I ate the leftovers. It's great.
That's a vibe.
Yeah.
That's a vibe.
I mean, you can never go wrong with any kind of pasta. So
I know it's true. Now I want pasta.
Yeah.
I had some.
That's
for
all
lunch.
it takes for
I
me.
did have some for lunch.
That's all it takes for me. Someone to mention it.
Factor, please sponsor us.
Oh, literally. Yeah, I eat Factor too.
Please sponsor us.
No, that's good. I like that. 8 out of 10 for everybody.
Yeah.
I guess I'm feeling like an 8 too. Like, how could I be feeling less than if everybody's vibe around me? Yeah, like if everybody's vibe around me is like an 8, then yeah, it just lifts my spirits up. Like, I don't know. I feel good. Like I'm in the home stretch of like a lot of things, so I'm feeling good about that, and I'm just getting a good place. Like I can't complain, you know.
That's good.
Yeah,
I like that for you too.
Thank you.
Well,
What are you?
I guess I'm at an 8 too now, because if everyone's at an 8,
like everyone's doing it. If everyone's jumping off the bridge, I'm doing it too.
Literally, like if all your friends are gonna do this, you know, when your mom would say something like, "Oh, if all your friends go do this, are you gonna do it too?" Like,
Yeah, if they're an 8, then I'm an 8.
If everyone's an 8, I guess I'm an 8 too. But no, I mean, you know what? I think my day's been pretty decent overall. I had like some kind of good news today and stuff, and I'm just feeling good. And now this has been really fun, so I'm excited.
You didn't share the good news when we were off camera. Now the suspense is killing me till the end. But
Well,
anyway,
I'll tell you guys about it later. It's not really like immediate or relevant to like what we're doing right now.
Oh my God,
so we'll
now
come
I
back
need
to
to
it.
know.
We'll come back to it.
But anyway, no, that's really good. I'm really happy that everybody's an 8. And I think we had like some really great conversations off camera before we started, and I'm really excited to get into it. So I know we have a ton to get through. So let's
seriously,
like honestly, like we have so much to get through. So why don't we just jump right into it? Because I want to make sure we get the most out of our time today with them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so as we were talking about before, right? One day, you may have seen it on Instagram or some sort of social media. We're really excited about it. And I'm sure you both are really excited. We're a couple weeks out from the festival run starting. So how are you both feeling knowing that just in a few weeks, the film is going to be on screen? It's going to be presented to the world, to the community. What's that feeling like right now?
Well, it had its world premiere in Surrey, BC, at the end of 2024 at the International South Asian Film Festival, which was really exciting.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, it was a really great festival, like really good people, good community. But of course, it's not my community. Like that was my first time being in BC, so I am super excited for the Canadian Film Festival, especially because we shot in Toronto. It is a Toronto story. I mean, like cast and crew are from the city. So I'm really looking forward to having it on the big screen and getting to invite like the folks that were involved in the process, my friends, family, and of course like the community as well. So yeah, I'm really excited for it. We have a few other festivals coming up. Actually, I'm going to Ottawa next weekend for the International Film Festival Ottawa, where it's having its Ontario premiere.
Wow.
Awesome.
And then the Canadian Film Festival is the Toronto premiere. Yeah, it's exciting. It happened, and then there's going to be a Montreal one as well in a few months.
Yeah.
But
cool.
What people don't see is the rejections, because the list of rejections for the past couple of months has been long. There's been tears, there's been doubts, but now the Canadian Film Festival accepting it is huge, and it's a really great festival. It's the first festival that's accepted it that isn't South Asian specific, that is more of a broader festival, which is really nice to know that there is like a broader audience that is interested in the story. So yeah, I'm excited.
That's a big deal. Like you should be like really proud of yourself.
Thank you.
Like if like something we're like, yeah, like you're like I'm in between projects. Like no, you're literally like full running projects right now.
And
like you're not in
I know
between.
like when you're in those festival runs, like it's a very like busy time. You're at different,
I'm
like,
on Instagram way too much. I'm just like the numbers are happening, and it's like just a little bit overwhelming.
Well, I mean, if anyone is in Ottawa, please.
Oh yeah,
please go out and
support.
Please go check out.
100%.
March 14th.
March 14th.
The screening in Ottawa. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Awesome. And Becky, how are you feeling about it?
I'm feeling good. I'm ready for like more and more people to see it. It feels like, well, the summer that we filmed all of it was like the best summer of my life. I say that all the time. It was so much fun. Like I was doing a lot. Like we were really, really busy. Like I don't think I was anywhere near as busy as Yazmeen was.
I don't know
but
about that.
I did have a lot going on, but this film, like, getting to do it, and we filmed it over 3
days.
3 yeah, 3
Yeah.
days.
Oh, wow.
There was so much going on, but it was such like a lovely place to be, and like everybody that I met on the cast and crew was so lovely, and it was just like a really like nice time to be alive. And so I'm kind of excited to just like everybody to have like a little piece of like what we experienced that summer.
And I think like it's super important, like what you guys are saying in terms of like just like getting our community to come out, because I know we did joke about it a little bit before we started. We were just like, I just want people to come out and see it. But I think like that's like one of the realest things that you could say, because I think the biggest things is never being able to see people that literally look like us and are us, not only just being an Indo-Caribbean person, but also being an Indo-Caribbean person in the film as well, which was like really amazing. I know when we watched it, we felt like, okay, that's reassuring. That feels really good. So I do just want to emphasize like the importance of having our community come out to these things. And like, again, even though we joked about it, in all seriousness, like it's so important for our community to come out for this.
Yeah. I mean, I shed a tear at the end, if I'm being honest. It got me kind of like emotional. I think it was just like the whole, I mean, I won't spoil or anything, but I really liked like the cinematography and everything. And I think that combination just at the end really like, it got me honestly. So I really love that. And I think even just on the note, as Ashley was saying about like the community coming out and supporting, it's, film. I mean, I'm no film expert or anything, but I know there's a lot that goes into getting a film even to the point of being on screen at this point. So I would love for you both to talk about a little bit about the process behind making the film, getting it started, and just the whole journey from the start to what we're about to see now on screen.
Oh my, how much time do you have? It's like a 3-year process.
Yeah, and I think like even if you guys wanted to start as well, like maybe talking about like even before the film, like what has your experience as 2 Indo-Caribbean women been when it comes to just like embarking in film and then being able to be in that process that you're talking about, kind of like like the added pressures before growing up and being in film, and then now actually doing the film yourself and what that looks like.
Well, as we were saying before around like, this is my first fiction film. And I'm still quite young, but I wish that I had started directing fiction even earlier. But I didn't. I was mainly in the documentary space. Well, because documentary is traditionally, like has less barriers and is more accessible for like equity deserving groups. And when you have equipment rentals and you have to, like the costs are just, if you don't have those relationships, you really just have yourself and your camera, which is how I started. Like I started making documentaries literally with my DSLR, and then I had more opportunities through short film labs to do more documentary work. But even when I had the choice in those labs to do fiction, I would stay away from it, even though I wanted to do it so badly, because I just didn't want to do it wrong, right? And I wasn't ready to be in a space of like experimentation because, one, I just didn't know if I would find like the collaborators that would be able to, help me grow at that point. Like when you're starting out, I feel like fiction is a little bit more forgiving when it comes to experimentation and trying to grow and figure out what your style is as a director. And so I leaned more into documentary, which I feel like is my strong suit and is where I come from, but also has informed a lot of how I like approach fiction now. And yeah, I think it's just, it is not a traditional career, of course, for people. And I also think that documentary is a more, how do I say it? Like it's just easier to wrap your head around.
I guess maybe it's safer.
It's more palatable.
It's more palatable.
And it's safer.
As well. Yes. And I have like more of an academic background. So I had to do documentary work even when I was, at the University of Toronto. And so like continuing to pursue that was almost like I was, just continuing to do academia in a way, because it's like research, and my first doc was about Syrian newcomers, and so I still had a very like social science approach to my filmmaking, And then fiction is something that, like, what I've noticed is a little bit harder to explain, you know, your reason behind it, because we're just like having fun, or you know, like we're just playing dress up.
Yeah, it's true. That, you know? I never thought about that, but that's like major, because when you think about it, documentaries are kind of like, you're right, like I wouldn't say more safer. They're obviously like very hard as well, but in a way they're kind of already written and now you're showcasing it. Whereas fiction, you're literally just like drawing from whatever you want, and it's like, are the people gonna like it or not? Like, are the people going to like what you're creating? Which is cool, but I liked it. So you've got one fan so far. But
I liked it too, so make that two. You got two so far.
But Becky, what about you?
I think what you said about like being scared to create, like being scared to do it wrong. I feel like I could use a little bit more of that, because I think like I recently went back and looked at all of like the films I ever made in high school, and plays that I wrote and things that I did. I've been studying theater and drama and film for like 8 to 10 years. So I've made a lot of stuff, and so much of it is so bad. But at the time, I loved it. Like at the time I was like, this is genius. And me and my friends are creating something that's so good. Like,
yeah,
I think when you're a kid, you don't really have or at least when I was a kid, I didn't have the foresight to be like, well, this is not good. It has no budget. There's no money in it. There's no cost. There's nothing like, there's nothing, you know, even like I'm using the school's camera. I don't know how to use it. I just know how to turn it on. So it's like, you know, but you don't know what you're doing while you're doing it. And I think that kind of like whimsy and, like introduction to art being fun was really helpful for me. And I think that as I get older, I lose more and more of that as I'm becoming more aware of like how people see me and who I want to be as an artist.
Yeah, that's major.
Yeah, and like the kinds of roles I want to play, the kinds of characters I want to write, and the kind of comedy I want to make. But I think I'm trying to grasp the like carefree nature that I had when I was a kid, because I think that like just saying I want to create this, so I'm going to create it, like is what makes good art, and it just makes things fun. I think even saying good art is like contradictory to what I'm saying. It's like it's not about making good art, it's just about making art, and like just do what you want to do, have fun with it, and you're going to find your voice kind of. I think that's what I'm aiming to do, at least.
I mean, when I was a kid, I was just saying, like, I have 3 younger siblings, and so we would do, you know, theater performances for our family and skits, and, you know, I had my little camcorder, and we all had our nicknames, you know, so those are just the things. My mom didn't really believe in, like, camps or programming, because she was all for, like, using your imagination and what you have at home. And that's really nice. So our summers were really just us, like just playing pretend and like, you know, just keeping each other occupied, which that like I love that, because I am trying to get back more into that playful energy of, you know, like childhood and getting more into fiction. Because with one day, as I was saying, like the 3 years that I was like trying to do this script, and then I was working on other documentaries while I was doing that, but it was like the anxiety of wanting to create my first fiction film and wanting it to be perfect. And wanting it to get into like top tier film festivals and da-da-da. I'm like, I hadn't made a fiction since high school, you know, like you need to, you know, have the practice and you need to just play and make the things that you think are amazing in the moment. But then afterwards you're like, come on, like,
and you know what's what I think about too, like in you saying that with this being your first fiction film that you worked on, it's also so new to like space. Like we even like similarly to like starting something like Brown Gyal Diary, right? You don't know how people are going to respond to this new identity of like Indo-Caribbean. So now putting it on screen and being like, okay, this is something so, it's like writing a grant, right? Do you know what I mean? Like when you write a grant, you're kind of like, do the people even care? Like how hard do I have to try to convince the people to care, right? And it's so close to your identity and who you are. So I think maybe that also too probably played like a big part I mean, or maybe it didn't, but I would assume that probably it did. Like, you know what I mean?
When you're a creative too, because there's always, it's like you were both saying, like there's a balance between, like, or I mean, actually maybe there's not a balance really.
No, we're just like maybe, but maybe not.
Maybe not. But you want the freedom to like create and run wild and do all the things that are coming to your mind and the things that like inspire you and are interesting. But then at the same time, there's the matter of like quality, and with quality comes the critical eye, because that's how you get it there and stuff like that. But then you also have to, that's where it's like, okay, well, where's the whimsy? Because I need to make sure like X, Y, and Z is on point, because that's what's actually going to make this like a strong project, because I'm not just like throwing things into the wind for fun anymore. You know, you want it to like build your career and you know, pursue like your form of art and stuff. So I think that's like the tough part too, is like, where do you find that balance, or if it exists, is like that side.
I think you're right. Like when there's stakes in it for you, that's what makes things serious, right? Like you can't, like, not everything is just like fun and games anymore. And I think like what you said about like you wanted this film to be like, it's gonna take over the world. Like it's gonna be like
this is gonna be it.
Yeah.
This will be the film. Yeah. This will be the short of the year.
It's cute though. But it's like the little Indo-Korean girl inside of you. Like, you know, it's so cute. It's cute.
Yeah, and to me it is. It is the film of the year. Yeah. Of every year. But like
every year for the rest of our lives. We're not watching anything else.
But I think like having that kind of, you know, stake in it, even for yourself, is kind of what makes it fun at the end of the day too. Or at least it gives it so that you look back on it and you're like, this was so important. Like I felt at that time it was so important. And like I look back at my old stuff and I'm like, well, I wasn't good, but here we are. You know what I mean? And I'm still doing stuff. But that being said, that's not the case for this film. It is good.
Thank you.
It's necessary stepping stones. Yeah. But I think that's a good kind of segue there to just the next point we had is just kind of like, where did the concept and the inspiration for this film come from, and also what was so important for you, Yazmeen, to tell the story, and then even for you, Becky, like what was so important that drew you to like, I want to play this character, like I feel very connected to this.
Yeah, well, I went to a Catholic high school, and I'm not Catholic. I'm Muslim.
Really?
Yeah, so I went to a Catholic high school.
How did you end up there?
So I'm a huge nerd actually. And I did the IB program.
Oh, okay.
And it was the only IB program that I, had access to, and so
fair enough.
So I had to go to a Catholic high school. And it was majority Italian as well.
Me too.
And so it was like I just felt super awkward in high school, like even more so than the average, because there was like a very limited amount of people around me that I could relate to. Like I had my like Egyptian Coptic Christian friend, I had my Korean friend, I had my Persian friend. Yeah. But then everybody else was pretty much Italian or white, like there was very little diversity. And so the folks that were, different, like we just gravitated towards each other. And I don't know, I thought that things were normal at the time. But then when I got into university and started meeting other like brown and Muslim people and having like conversations about what high school was like, I just noticed that what I experienced was unique in a way, but then also not unique, because so many other brown and Muslim girls had faced, the type of microaggressions that I had faced, regardless of if they were at a more diverse high school or not. And I don't know, I think it was like a lot of frustration when I was writing it, and just getting out a lot of that frustration that I experienced as a teenager when I wasn't, I didn't have the confidence to stand up in a classroom and be like, hey, like, you can't say that, right? Because people would say like the craziest things. Like in religion class, this one girl fully asked, like, why do Muslims believe in, you know, honor killings or something like that, right? And I'm like terrified when I hear this like white girl stand up, like ask this question. I'm like, I'm not, no one can know I'm Muslim in this moment, you know, like I'm so scared.
Yeah.
What is the teacher even gonna say, right? And the teacher just, I don't even know, like didn't even know how to answer it or engage with it. And then even like I was in, I think, my last year of high school when the Syrian refugee crisis was taking place, and there was a lot of like terrorism rhetoric at school, and I was also just feeling really insecure and not in a place to voice like my frustration at the time. So I guess the script was, in a way, like me getting out a lot of those frustrations of what I experienced as a teenager and feeling that insecurity and like discomfort, but just feeling like I had to kind of like keep everything inside and just like wait until like I was out of that setting to kind of be able to like find my true self or find my voice or whatnot. So yeah,
it's so funny, like, because for me, like, I know Tiara, like, you're pretty like immersed in like the film space and you have a lot of conversations about it. Me personally, I don't. Like, you're probably one of the first people that I met that were in film and like kind of like started talking to me about it, or just in general, right? Like just being connected with you to like share different things around film, in terms of like with BGD, if you would ask us to share something or whatnot, or getting people into those spaces. But otherwise, like, I've never really been around like directors or to hear their perspective and like to hear what you're saying and then to compare it to the film. It's like, it really gives you like a different perspective now. It's like, oh my gosh, like it's really, really powerful. And I think like, I mean, as the average person, you don't think about the director's perspective as much, but it plays such a major role in like how you feel about the film and or how you value the film as well. But yeah, no, so thank you for sharing that. I think that's really great. But
yeah. I think the other part, which I don't know if I'm getting too ahead, but something that was really important for me to show was 3 Muslim women characters.
Oh, we will get to that part. Yeah, we're gonna get to that. Yeah. No, bring it up now, but we're definitely gonna get to that part. That's a major. Okay.
There's a lot. Yeah, there's definitely a lot to uncover here. And I mean, I agree that I think hearing the director's perspective, and I think, like you were saying, just because like my partner is a director and I've been kind of immersed into that world because of him, and I know like that side of what goes behind it. It's interesting to hear from people now and then get to see like what was going on in your brain, because I know when I sit with him and like, you know, we're working on something, he's working on something, or like we're workshopping something together, and there's like all these gears turning, and it's like the wording and like I want to say this but I mean this, and then how do I say it without like you know, there's a lot of those like technical,
you got it spot on
pieces
though for this. Yeah, like I feel like the way that you explained it is exactly how I seen it, which is nice. But what about you, Becky?
Yeah. Well, you messaged me, right?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. So I got a message from Yazmeen on Instagram, and this was back in the day when I used to check my messages. Don't do that anymore, right? But yeah, I was like, oh, like, well, first you were just super cool. I was like looking at your Instagram, I was like, okay, what? She's so cool. And I was like, I would love to work with her. And then I read the script and I was like, oh, this is so like, it was so, I think what I didn't expect about it was that it's so cute while it's like delving into all of these like really, you know, important things that I also grew up with and feel very strongly about. It was very cute. It was like this, you know, she's in high school, she's like figuring out who she is, she loves things like photography, and like even the description of like her bedroom was so like, I was like, she's so sweet, she's so cute. And I think that was something that really drew me to her, was that this Muslim character was so fleshed out in a way that I think any young person could relate to, regardless of religion or gender or, you know, what kind of high school you go to, where you go to high school. Like it's about being young, I think. And yeah, we also had conversations about like playing teenagers. Like you play all types of different teenagers, and I've been playing like 16 since I was like 15. So yeah, like I think I think there's tons of different ways to play a kid, and play somebody at a really pivotal place in their life. And yeah, I think that's what excited me the most about the character. And then more big than that, like, it's important and it's how I felt when I was in high school. I feel like I did a lot of fighting. If you ask anybody that was friends with me in high school, I did a lot of like beefing with people. That was just
really shocking. I was not expecting all.
Just kind of like, I don't know. I would be in the vice principal's office because I got mad that somebody said something racist, or things like that. I threatened back in the day.
We're leaving that in. I'm sorry.
I made some threats back in the day.
That is so funny.
We won't get into them, but
maybe you can tell us about them.
Yeah, later. Yeah, I think I was just like very like outspoken.
Yeah.
And I also went to a Catholic school, but I did have a lot of friends. I had friends that were like, I had a lot of friends. I was popular.
I know. I was like, she's cool. She's on there. She's that girl. She's that girl.
I had a lot of. I was really lucky. I had a lot of friends of color, and I had a lot of friends that were just as passionate about things as I was. And so I grew up with a lot of really, really great people that shaped me. And they were fighting too, so anything that happened, anything that we were learning about together. So I felt a lot of the time like Adila, where she wants to speak out, she wants to scream, she wants to yell, she wants to tell you that's wrong and here's the right way and this is why it's right. But as a teenager, you don't really have that kind of vocabulary. You don't know how to do that properly, and sometimes it just comes out as anger. And it comes out kind of like a temper tantrum because you're 16 and, you don't know any better. So I think that's something I related to Adila really strongly with. And that's also one of the reasons I found her very cute, because I was like, oh, she's just like me as a kid too.
Okay, so another thing that kind of came up for me as I was watching the film is I noticed a lot that you kind of like broke that fourth wall, and then Adila would kind of talk to the audience and spew her thoughts, her feelings, her anger and stuff like that. So I was curious about like that decision that you made to do that in the film.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's a very common device of comedies with women, like like Zoe Kravitz and High Fidelity and Fleabag, and I mean, there's like so many references. Like, I think Clueless was a big reference film for me for this as well. But I think for Adila, it was just like her expressing her inner world, and so her breaking the fourth wall was just her being like very literal about what she's experiencing, because in that moment she has nowhere else to go but like inside, like her experience. She has such a like internal, you said it once. I can't. You were like, she has this like she has just like a very deep internal world, or right, and so that's what I wanted to show, is that in any given moment she's got so much like built up emotion about what she's feeling, but she has no way of expressing that in the real world yet. So breaking the fourth wall was just an opportunity for her to like connect with the audience and just let the audience be in that moment with her, like in that moment of rage or whatever it is. And so, yeah.
And I think even as Indo-Caribbean women, a lot of times like our feelings and experiences are suppressed. And that's a big part of like, just as we start to explore the Indo-Caribbean identity a lot, and why I think it's so important for a lot of young Indo-Caribbean women to see this film, because of the way you kind of break through with that as well, right? And I think just overall, like, you are always told to just kind of like keep your opinions to yourself, or just kind of like don't speak too loudly, or don't be too opinionated. Because I mean, it seems like a lot of us actually probably on this like chatting right now all had that similar personality where we were kind of those like more outspoken Indo-Caribbean girls that maybe didn't fit into that idea of what it means to be what we would, I guess, refer to a long time ago as like Kuli all the time, right? Like that Kuli perspective, because it's not a norm. It's not a norm to speak out. It's not a norm to break that wall. It's not a norm to just like have an opinion as much, especially when it comes to like social justice issues or issues that just like mean something to your identity.
Or even just within like family spaces.
Exactly,
where I find,
100%.
even like family spaces, you might notice that something is obviously like wrong or off or whatever the case is, but you're still supposed to kind of like, okay, well, keep it to yourself, keep it sweeping under the rug, it's, you know, et cetera, things like that. So there's still always that thing within us where it's like, okay, we don't speak out, we don't say the thing. Like even, you know, earlier today I was having a conversation with my partner about something, it was a film ironically that I didn't like, and he was like,
not
well,
this one.
not this one. This was a different movie. But he was just like, oh, well, you didn't talk about, like, you didn't write about it or something recently, right? And I was like, I purposely left it out of something that I wrote because I didn't want to talk about it, because I just didn't want to be the one to say that I didn't like it. But he was just like, why are you like silencing yourself? But I say this to say that like sometimes these things are in us in a way that we don't even realize that we're like, we will silence ourselves when we have an opinion that's like a negative opinion about something, whatever the case is, because you just feel like, well, I shouldn't be the one to say it, or I can't speak on that thing.
Yeah. And I think like even when I was watching the film, I was kind of like, why didn't she say it? Because at first, like, I didn't know about, like, I'm not really into film, so I don't really know about the fourth wall kind of thing, that kind of vibe. But I was like, at first I was like, oh, why didn't you just say it? I'm like, why didn't you just say it? Like, you said it so nicely the way that they had presented it, and I was like, but it does add a lot of like dramatic effect, which is nice, or like makes you kind of like feel drawn to it as well, and like easily relate to that piece as well.
I was forced into knowing about film, so don't worry.
I'm gonna like go home and like
it was just something that was forced on me, and now here I am. But nonetheless, so another thing to the two of you, and just, you know, in all these different relationships and stuff that we're talking about, what was the working relationship like for the two of you as, you know, writer, actor, and then just kind of like bringing those two together to getting the final result?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think at first I was a little intimidated because it was my first fiction, and you have an abundance of experience, and so I wanted to do
one too.
I wanted to be good. Like, I wanted to be a good director for you. You know, I wanted it to be a good experience for you, and I was of course like intimidated because you happen to be like exactly who I thought of when because after I wrote it, I started thinking like, okay, it would be very ideal for me to cast like a Guyanese actress for this, but who even is there, right? And of course, we had like an incredible amount of Indo-Caribbean, South Asian, Muslim girls audition, which was great. And I just found it in your tape, and then when you came in for the audition, I gave her the role on the spot because I just knew. I was like, this makes perfect sense, right? Sometimes like, I know this is so cheesy, but like if someone just like walks in the room, like I feel like I can like feel the energy, and I can just like know, you know.
That's real though. That's
true. It's very true.
Yeah, it's just like the energy of a character. Like that's even how I felt about the other actors that were cast, and why I was so particular about doing like an in-person audition and in-person chemistry reads, is because I felt like I needed to feel the energy. Like,
100%.
You know, I needed to see like the character like come to life. And also, of course, I have my own perception because I wrote it of what the characters look like. But I was also really excited to see, you know, what you would bring to it and what experiences you would bring to the character that would, you know, really bring her to life. And so I do love like collaboration, you know, with actors in that way of like, of course I have like space to see like where the actor will like embody the role and how they will take things on, even if there's differences to what I thought the character would do. You know, I like having more space to see like how the energy might change and how you might want to try things differently than, you know, what I thought would be like the right way to convey something in a given moment. So yeah, we did a ton of rehearsals. We did a lot of that even before that, back to the chemistry reads, I think, so Becky was the first that was cast. And then from Becky, it was for me about making sure that we had the right actors to play into Adila's character now that we had Becky. So we did auditions for the mom character. That was really challenging because there's very few.
That's exactly what I thought when I saw him. I'm like, is she even an actor or is she actually someone's mom?
No, I know. So
Nadia's
actually a host. Nadia's like a really amazing host, like for radio.
Oh, is that MC?
Yes, it's MC.
She looks so different. She was one of our speakers in one of our bunches. She looks different in the film.
She's in the
I knew her voice though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Nadia, and then
that's so funny.
I know, and so they attracted well. Like you put them beside each other, it's like, oh yeah, that's like mother and daughter.
She has like amazing energy though. Like I love her energy.
Yeah, she was great, and she was a non-actor, so we just wanted her to feel as comfortable as possible and to do a lot of that work beforehand, and then the actress playing Zarina, that was who I was really nervous to cast. And we did a crazy amount of like in-person auditions and chemistry reads because it was also like a physical thing and just like needing to see you and like Zarina beside one another. And there's a lot of those scenes where they're beside one another and they need to complement each other because Zarina's kind of like her parallel character in a way. Like she embodies a lot of who, Adila aspires to be. And so they needed to be similar but different, right? So you see even in like the way that they're dressed, their jewelry, like there's a lot of parallels, right? And so that was really challenging, but like it was so crazy. Right as I was about to give the yes to someone else for Zarina, who I like didn't feel in my heart was like the right Zarina, but we'd run out of time. Like I just needed to cast as Zarina. I had a friend of mine send me a text in that moment. Yo, this is why I was in that moment, I was about to send that email. And she was like, I think I'm sitting across from Zarina.
She was good
what
though.
Are you saying?
She was really good. I did like her character, I did like her a lot.
Amazing. And so I got, like last minute we cast this other Zarina. I hadn't even met her yet. And then we did like a separate, chemistry read, which I already like knew just from the tape. But then when I saw the both of you together, I was so excited. I was like, oh my gosh, we finally found it. Like the vibe was there just like naturally, and I think that's something I always look for as well, is just like a natural embodiment of the character and like not necessarily like having to take on a role that doesn't fit naturally, especially
100%.
With such a quick turnaround and a short. I'm like, I don't want it to be like a really difficult experience for the actors. Like ideally it should just like the energy should be there from the actor. And so we found that, and we just kept like honing it and doing a lot of rehearsals and blocking. And I mean, I feel like we did more than maybe like the average short, possibly. But that was also a bit from my anxiety, but also honestly, it was just so much fun. Like I had so much fun doing that.
She said it was the best summer of her life.
It's amazing. I'm not kidding. It was.
Like, that's really good.
It was a lot of fun.
It was fun. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, I think we just got to a point where we're like, okay, I think we have it where we want to have it. And then, we did the best we could on the days. And when we had to do retakes, they weren't because of performance ever, which was exactly what I wanted. It was like, I never want to do a retake on the day because of performance. It should be for any other reason, but I feel like we had it. So, yeah.
Oh, that's so nice. It's so like it's just so lovely to like hear you talk about the beginning of it, and I'm like remembering everything. It was like really fun, and I feel like being involved in like the chemistry reads and seeing a bunch of different actors and reading with them and like being in the room with you, and it was like very collaborative, and it felt like even rehearsals, like it felt very fun. I'm very used to rehearsals, and I appreciated getting an opportunity to like try everything out with everybody, and also it gave us all like an opportunity to get to know each other, kind of.
For sure.
So I think that's what made like those 3 days very fun, is because like we all knew each other at this point, and usually it takes a few days. Like I would say by the last day of filming, we were all like comfortable with each other, but then it's always too late. You know what I mean? Like it's like, oh, now we're all friends, and it's like, well, I'll see you at the premiere or something. But it's
so just have to write another film.
Yeah, but it was really nice to like, you know, get to spend time with everybody. And also like this is maybe a bit off track, but like the locations that we shot into were all very like fun and like everybody was in kind of like an enclosed, like everybody was in it together, you know what I mean? And the team was all in close quarters, except for when we were shooting like outside or when we were shooting at the school.
Yeah.
Like, but still, even then, it's like everybody's there. You could up and talk to anybody, and like have a conversation, and it was very like, it was just like a good time, and I felt like we were all kind of collaborators, and you were a great director.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I want to take a moment to give a shout out to the one director that I was able to shadow that I think informed a lot of the way that I do direct.
Rest in power, Charles Officer. He was my mentor, and I was his assistant for a number of years. But I had the opportunity to watch him direct Akila's Escape. And I learned so much from him, and above all else, it was how to be a good person and a kind person as a director. And so I watched him, you know, he just had me there, and like I was doing BTS content, but I learned so much. I was in 2019. And he would say, like, action, please. You know, like, who else does that, right? But he still managed to keep a set that was, like, really on top of it while being, like, really kind and creating an environment where people felt comfortable.
Yeah.
Because that's something that, you know, I don't understand why this idea in film and production that things have to be, like, so, you know, like you can't be like a nice person because
like kind of cutthroat.
Yeah, like you have to just be cutthroat.
That like there's like that stigma that directors are just always assholes.
Yeah. Yeah, but this is the thing, like it's great to hear that you felt like it was like a positive environment, because that is the type of environment I wanted to create, where the productivity is a result of being passionate about the project and being excited to work with the people that you're surrounded by, as opposed to being like intimidated and terrified and like afraid of, you know, messing up. So yeah.
I also like, I think there's kind of like an inherent hierarchy in every set, but this one definitely didn't feel like you're being scolded at any time, or like you can't talk to certain people, or, you know, like it did feel like we're all kind of working together. There was like a little story that to this day is probably like the most guilty I've ever felt in my life.
No. Oh my god, I know you're gonna say
it was so bad. The very first day of filming,
take me back.
I was like, I can't imagine how stressed you are.
They didn't tell me. They didn't tell me what was going on.
Stop.
Because it was like, we had a really good first assistant director, right?
Yeah.
And so she was trying to keep me like calm, and she was like, so, you know, Yazmeen, we're actually going to start here instead. And I was like, oh, why can't we just start where we're going to start? Like, where's Becky at?
Oh my god.
And she was like, she pulled me aside and she was like, okay, Yazmeen, I need you to take a really deep breath right now.
Oh my gosh.
Like, okay. I took a really deep breath, and she's like, yeah, we don't know where she is.
Where were you?
Girl, I was in my bed. Like, oh my god. So I finished a festival run of my Fringe show. I was doing a comedy show at the time, and we were doing our festival in Hamilton. And
I remember seeing that online. Yeah.
So I was gonna come, but I was actually really sick. But it was on there.
Oh, good.
I'm sorry.
But yeah, so we had just the day before, like we actually scheduled the shooting days to be right after it was supposed to be during the festival, but then I was like, I don't think I can make it work. And so we scheduled it to be right after my festival closed. And so the night before we finished our festival, I think our show was at like 10 p.m. And then I came home on the train, and I hadn't slept for like that whole week that we were doing that. And I was like, oh, finally, okay, I'm sleeping in my bed. Like, it's going to be great. Have my alarm set for like 5 a.m. I don't know, maybe like 4:30 a.m. or something like that. I, to this day, don't know if the alarm went off or not.
It was just burnout, yeah.
I think, I don't know. I don't know if it went off and I like turned it off and then didn't get up. I don't know what happened. But I was asleep, and then the next thing I know, my mom comes into my room, and she was like, "Becky, as soon as she opened my door and said Becky, I was like, oh no. My God, I was so afraid to check my phone to see what time it was. I was already like, I think like an hour or something. Like I think it was like, almost 2 hours late.
Yeah, but you know what? In the end, everything worked out. We just flipped a few things around. We had an amazing first AD. Yeah. But I understand, like, in the moment, like, I'm sure you were feeling, like, I was upset.
Sobbing. I had, like, a billion.
What were you really feeling, though, like, when she didn't show up, though? Like, I mean, now you know, but what were you really thinking? Were you like...
I found your brother on, like, Facebook, and I DM'd Raymond. I was like, yo, I know you have no clue who I am, but, like, I really need your help. Right now.
Oh my god, that is so funny.
I had like a billion missed calls. I was sobbing. I was like, I was like, I can't believe I did this. Like, I can't believe I did. Like, it's so unlike me. Like, I'm saying that, but like,
but maybe you needed the sleep, because in the end, everything worked out. Like, we did flip things around to start the day with a bunch of like shots that you didn't need to be in at all. Yeah. So you know. I would have liked to have been there, to have been there for even those. For sure. But I immediately like got up, brushed my teeth, got in an Uber, and then I was like the whole way in the Uber, like, you know when you're in an Uber and you just need to get somewhere and they're driving like so slow, the slowest you've ever been driven in your life. I was like,
can it get any worse?
Yeah.
I was like, this is not.
How far was it for you? Like, was it in the area?
It was from Scarborough to like Yonge and Dundas.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, not too bad, but
yeah,
it depends on
the time. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Depends on the time.
Yeah, but then I got there and it. But I was so afraid that like, I think I just had this feeling of like, I've let these people down, and everybody probably thinks like, God, like, what a lazy or entitled.
Yeah.
But I don't know if we can say that here. But
you
like,
say whatever you want.
Yeah. Okay, I was just.
We were all thinking it. No, just kidding. I'm so
I was like, everybody probably thinks like I'm
okay.
I'm doing that. Like I think I'm above this or whatever, or I don't know what they're thinking of me, and it's just so unlike me, and so I felt so horrible about myself the whole time. But then I got there and everybody was like, hey, it's so good to see you. I was like, is it really? Thanks.
Nice to meet you. Finally, thanks.
I don't even think they realized
coming.
your call time was like as early as it was supposed to be, because like everyone switched up so fast into a different schedule that.
Well, I think it probably comes from a lot of like the energy that you bring as a director on into the space as well, which is great.
Yeah, it was so calm, and like everybody was so supportive. I kept like apologizing. They were like, listen, it happens. Like, it's okay. Let's move on. Let's get through the day. By the end of the day, I had the biggest headache because I was like, I just want to apologize to everybody like 7 billion times. But then the next day it was like, we're back in it. It's again, it's like a community. We're all working together, and it felt like it felt like I was in on it rather than like I'm being told what to do and I'm doing it,
That's so good. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah.
Okay.
So one thing I've been wanting to really like wrap around to, again, we talked about at the beginning, the importance of the community coming out to see the film, to support, and just the fact that there hasn't exactly been a lot of Indo-Caribbean films or Indo-Caribbean representation, let alone Indo-Caribbean Muslim representation, Indo-Caribbean Muslim woman representation. Like, there's a lot of really cool points here that is, I think, just very like unique and very special, especially within our community. So I would love for you both to kind of just talk about the importance of the representation, and also just what what your goals were with the different characteristics you were trying to represent in this film.
I think something that has always frustrated me with the Muslim representation I've seen is one-dimensional women, and women in need of saving by a boy and by a white boy, and I was just really exhausted with all the tropes. So, you know, with this first short, I feel like I just poured so much of, you know, like anything I was frustrated by, like I tried to just like cure my frustrations in like 16 minutes. And so I was really adamant on making sure that there were multiple forms of Muslim, like young Muslim women portrayed, and that I didn't want one representation of a young Muslim woman or a Muslim girl's experience to define what the, you know, teenage Muslim experience is. And so in the film, she has a best friend who is also a hijabi. And I wanted to just show that there are like multiple different interpretations of hijab, and that, you know, just because there are two Muslim women that wear hijab and they happen to be like good friends, that it doesn't mean that they agree on everything, and that there is, you know, some frustration there with the idea of covering and what it means to cover, and that, you know, when you are at that stage, you know, as a young person developing and trying to find, you know, your people, especially in the high school like that, like they're just two hijabi girls, like they're going to gravitate towards each other, right? But it doesn't mean that they, you know, have the same personality, or, you know, like they're two very different characters, and they see things in a very different way. And Adila has like just this openness of wanting to discover herself, and it has nothing to do with her wanting to remove her hijab or be any further away from her faith or her culture. In fact, like when she goes into her daydreams, she has more of that, you know, like she just finds like more fun ways to represent herself in her dream state. So that was important to me. And then the other character, Zarina, who you wouldn't even like know that she's Muslim until, you know, there's like a very small moment at the end. You see something and you realize, oh, okay, like you confirm like she is Muslim. But that was another thing that was important. And then something else that maybe is like a bit shocking, but maybe not so shocking about this character that you also see at the end of Zarina. And I just wanted to show like the huge variation of, you know, like we're like what, like 1.2 to 2 billion like Muslims in the world. Like the representation should not be so like one-dimensional, especially of Muslim women. Like all the women in my life, like the Muslim girls, like when I bring people together for the iftars, I'm telling you, it's like every walk of life. Like it's like you can't even like, you don't even know like what this gathering is about, because everyone just looks so different. But that's what I love. Like I love being surrounded by like different Muslim women that I get to learn from, like so many different cultures and experiences and personalities, like different belief systems, like different understandings of the world. And that's what I wanted to show in the film, and also show like the nuances of the conflicts that happen between Muslim women also, of sometimes having a form of like insecurity about the values that you do have and how they might be different to others, right? Because that's something I noticed, that of course like we feel you know, judged as Muslims by non-Muslims, but then we also judge each other, which is like the hardest part, because you want to feel safe within your own communities, right? Because if you can't feel safe outside of your communities and you can't feel safe within your own communities, then where do you go, right? And so that's why Adila has this like, you know, deep inner world, because she doesn't feel like she's found her people yet, right? Even though she has the people around her, like she hasn't really found that sense of like safety and comfort, where she wants to be Muslim, she wants to be Indo-Caribbean, she wants to be loud and outspoken, but she hasn't really found like a safe space to like be that part of herself yet, right? So then Zarina is kind of on another spectrum of things. She doesn't cover, she might, you know, she speaks her mind, she might like do things that Adila would not necessarily do for like, you know, religious reasons, but Adila is really fascinated by her, and just because she is so outspoken and she is so different. And that's what I wanted to show, is a little bit of like, you know, we should just be kinder to one another, even if we don't have the same sense of, you know, like spiritual values, that like at the end of the day, like as Muslim women, I want to show that like we should be there for one another regardless of if we agree on like any given religious, topic, right? And so yeah, it was really important to me that they were like three women that were very different from one another, but just get a sense of like you can still have that camaraderie. Like we don't all have to be exactly the same in order to get along. And then of course like the Indo-Caribbean representation was really like, yeah, like it was pretty much like not selfishly, but like I didn't have a lot of Indo-Caribbean like community growing up. Like it was really just like my mom's family, and I didn't even have the language for Indo-Caribbean.
Of course,
like I think for so long growing up, I think I used to say that I was like half like South American. Like I don't even think I knew that like Guyanese meant like Caribbean, right? I think I thought that like because I looked at a map. And my parents said Guyana, right? And I'm like, okay, well, Guyana is like that's Brazil and Venezuela. So I guess I'm like South American.
Wow. And like that, like even with all of what you're saying, I think like so much of like the religious piece of like how you're talking about like the different identities and the different experiences is so majorly relatable to like the reason Brown Gyal Diary started in a sense, because you would come across so many women. Like when Brown Gyal Diary first started, and I've said this a ton of times, but there were women who would email me and DM us and be like, I'm not supporting your organization because my experience, like as, again, Indo-Caribbean wasn't as common. They just be like, as a Koli woman, like I was so hurt by my own community and I didn't feel safe in my own community. So like even from the religious perspective and the cultural perspective, like it's very relatable in a lot of ways, like whether you're a Muslim woman or not, or Muslim Indo-Caribbean woman, or just a brown woman or a woman of color. Like I think a lot of people just feel that, like that safety in their culture, their safety in their religion, but also feeling like that push away from it as well, which is like very interesting. And I think a big part of it, and a big part of like BGD and what we do too, which I love that part.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, that is what I try and do with my films. Like, it's what I tried to do with my short with Love from an Era, and what I tried to do with this one is really just, like, having us get really on the same page, even if we have, like, disagreements within community about right and wrong and da-da-da-da-da. It's, like, at the end of the day, like, we're all trying our best and, like, just trying to get people on a page of, like, empathy and like this is what like just more about like the human experience, right? Because it's less about like Adila's decision to wear hijab or not wear hijab. It's more about just her experience as a young person trying to mature and trying to figure out what it is to become like a woman, going from a teenager for a woman to a woman, right? So I think that's what I really try and focus on is, authentic human experiences, but being really specific with like the character representation and like the culture representation, because we never see that.
Yeah, absolutely. And even to like those like human experiences that you mentioned, it's like whether you're an Indo-Caribbean or woman or not, or Indo-Caribbean or Caribbean, like people of color have a very shared experience in itself, right? Of facing like microaggressions or whatever that might look like, for just being a person of color, right? So, and that's universal to all of us, whether, exactly that, whether you're a Muslim woman, whether you're a Black woman, whether you're an Asian, like it's a shared experience very much for all of us. So I think even to all of our points here, talking about like culture and representation and that authenticity of like the experiences, what sort of resources and what measures did you take to just ensure that the film got kind of the most authentic representation it could?
Well, number one, I wanted to cast authentically, of course. So yeah, Becky, of course, and then Nadia, who plays Adila's mom, is also Guyanese. And early on, I developed a relationship with the Muslim Indo-Caribbean Collective through the founder Karima, and we had conversations even when I was in university about Indo-Caribbean women's like acts of like decolonization, and that was like part of a project I did in school, like a thesis project, and that's when I started learning more about like the cultural nuances of ways that Indo-Caribbean women perform like acts of decolonization in like small ways without realizing that that's what is happening, whether it's like in like in food or like in Bollywood movies, or just like keeping the culture alive when it was something that was discouraged, right? And so she was a big help when it came to actually forming like the foundation of the story, with that in mind. And then in the pandemic, like I loved watching Tasha Love's TikToks. Like she was so funny. Yeah. And so yeah, that was also like honestly a dream to like have her come on board as a story editor and cultural consultant, because I didn't grow up with a quote unquote like stereotypical Indo-Caribbean mother. And my mom's Guyanese, my dad's Indo-East African. So I wanted to get more of a overall sense of what it was like for others. And so that's why, like Tasha, me and her, we sat down a few times, and like I wrote out the mother-daughter, scene the way that I thought it would work out and just like what I wanted the essence to be. But then I had Tasha Love, do the actual edits like on paper of what would actually be said, like
how she would say
that's
it. Nice. I like that a lot, yeah.
And I was like, okay, we also want to make this funny, so like good thing, like she's hilarious too. So I was like, how do we make this something that is relatable, like not something that is traumatic to watch. So the mother-daughter relationship was really important for me to craft in a way that was like culturally specific, because we all have like complicated mother-daughter relationships within the community and portrayed on screen. Like I love the relationship in Lady Bird, for example, and I took like a lot of inspiration from that film. But yeah, Tasha brought something like really special to it, where I wanted it to feel comedic and relatable, and not necessarily a dynamic that you would feel traumatized by, because I think that is very common in a lot of South Asian films, or just, as we were saying, like people of color, like trauma films as well. And I really didn't want like this to be that type of film. Like I wanted it to be something that we laughed at because it was relatable, rather than watched with like horror, you know what I mean?
And I think the mom did a good job with that, because like even in the last scene when she was just talking to her daughter on the phone, I was like, oh, she was like really understanding. She was really gentle. Like I did notice that, so that was nice.
I wanted it to be relatable, like and that we would laugh at it, especially in that opening scene as well. So
it's like when you call them, they like are crazy at first, and then they kind of calm down.
Then they calm down. Exactly.
Then they calm down. I was like, oh, okay, this is relatable.
Yeah. So that was definitely important with the relationship dynamics, and she also like coached Nadia a bit to make sure that like the accent was coming out in a way that made sense. And then I also had a hijab consultant on set, Narisa, she was a Muslim, like Indo-Caribbean. Oh, wow. And that was really fun for her and fun for us, because it was actually really helpful for me to have her on set and to watch everything play out, because I kept saying like, you are the audience of this film. Like, like she is, a hijabi Muslim Indo-Caribbean young woman. And so she was there like touching up all the hijabs and making sure that they looked authentic and that nothing looked crazy or out of place. That was another thing that like really frustrated me about watching Muslim women on screen, is like, come on, like the hijabs these days, like they're so cool. Like they're just like,
I loved it. I thought it was so beautiful. Yeah. The way it like flowed and everything.
Yeah,
the
I think
style
it's
of how it was
cool
done
that you
really
had
nice.
A hijab consultant as well. Like that's
career unlocked.
Literally.
Yeah.
Level unlocked.
I wanted it to look good. That was my main thing, like yes, authenticity, and I want it to just look good, right? And I want like women who wear hijab to look at that and be like, yeah, like that's cool, like I would wear it like that too, or and to see that there's like a variation in how it's worn as well between like the two characters. So she was there, and we would do different like consultations. For example, with production design, we had a production designer that she was Asian, but not South Asian, not Indo-Caribbean. And so she would ask very specific questions to the cultural consultants. We would have like a meeting of like the things she needed to gather to create like an authentic space.
That's cool.
And, about the doilies and like all of these little details of things that even for me, I was like, oh, true. Yeah. Like my grandma's house is filled with that stuff.
I was going to say my grandma had so many.
I didn't grow up with it necessarily, but I'm like, oh, like that's my grandma's house. So things like that were really helpful also for me, like as a director, you know, you got so many things in your head, but I was like, the cultural piece was so important to me. So I needed to have multiple Indo-Caribbean perspectives come on board to make sure that there was a lot of, perspectives and like nuances so that when people watch the film that they might see little details and get, excited about what they're seeing. Because even the small details that, you know, if people can relate to that, then that's what it's for.
Perfect. And I think that is a really good segue into just like highlighting what and how young Indo-Caribbean or Caribbean women can get into film. Like, what are the steps that they need to take to be in a space where you're in, where they can also like make those calls to have things like cultural consultants or really like change the game of film and that industry. What are some of the things that you can share around that? Both of you, actually, from an acting perspective and a directing perspective. So
behind the camera and then on camera.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's really tough.
Yeah. I think what was the biggest thing for me was being like immersed in arts from the time I was really young. I started doing a lot of theater. And I took a bunch of acting classes. I did a lot of like theater summer camps and always kind of pursuing like an arts education. I went to an arts high school and then I studied theater in university. And I think that surrounding yourself with people that are making art and people that are performing and people that are directing and writing things, if that's what you want to do, is the smartest thing to do, because you might meet somebody and make a connection and make a friendship with somebody that creates things the very same way that you do, which I was very lucky. I have so many people in my life that I make stuff with, and I met them all through school. And yeah, I think just like building a community of people that make the kind of stuff that you want to make gives you an opportunity to learn from everybody. Making those connections in a really authentic way where you're like, you get to work together and you're friends as well, has been the thing that I'm most grateful for in like my artistic journey or pursuit to become an actor, pursuit to become a writer. So,
Yeah, I feel like there's so many different ways, like depending on what someone is interested in, whether it's acting or writing or producing or directing. But I think a big thing is that not a lot of people know what they can get into, and not everyone knows, what a casting director is, or right, because we have like a serious representation issue in our industry, and I mean a lot of the times, is just like a lack of knowing what is out there and what you could aspire to be and how you even take that first step. But I think surrounding yourself with other people, it might be really tough because I don't know, maybe like not everyone has the opportunity to go to theater school or to be surrounded by art, or to even have parents that I guess are supportive. I think everything I did was on my own time. I didn't really study film except for cinema studies as a minor in university, but otherwise I just taught myself. I watched a ton of movies. That's all I did in high school pretty much. I just watched so many movies to the point where I felt like my brain just became when I read a script now, I see it because I'm I just have a mental encyclopedia of references, So I think if you really love film, it's important to watch it and to go to the theater and to have an immersive experience and to get inspired, and to just figure out what you like, and the kind of stories that you like to tell. And then I really just started with a camera, honestly, and when I was in elementary school, I just had my friends do skits at recess. I got in trouble for bringing my camcorder to school type of thing. I literally would hide it and get in trouble because you're not supposed to bring your camera to school and film kids. Sorry. But yeah, as I got older, like in high school, I submitted to like a film challenge, and then that helped me to get on my first set. When I was 15, I was taken on set for a day to like the set of Saving Hope. And I saw it for the first time. And honestly, like I fell in love, but I remember like a PA like whispered to me, he's like, don't do it. Don't do it. And I was just like, I was so in awe. I was so excited. And like something in me was like, I really, really, really want to do this. And then I had like a few heart-to-heart moments with like some of the cast members, and like I was watching the show at the time, so it was so incredible to me to like go from just sitting like in my little room like watching this show to actually being on the set and having conversations with the actors in real time and seeing like it was magical, honestly. So I think like something like that really helped me, because I just realized that it was actually possible and that people actually are behind the camera making it happen, and understanding that there is like a system and a process to it. And so another thing I would do is just like a nerd, just watch like behind the scenes like on YouTube of like my favorite films.
Yeah.
Like just for like an hour, like I just after school, like I'm just like having my after school snacks, and I'm just there just like for like just, you know, because you could do that. You could say like BTS of and then whatever, and it's like an hour of uncut.
Yeah, I was gonna say like one of the like resources that I feel like we maybe don't think about all the time is we have phones. Like we have the internet.
It's all there.
Everything's all there. Like you can start from anywhere, but also there are people there, right? Like there's communities like this, and if you have any social media, you can find film groups for young people. You can find film groups related to South Asian people. You can find like there are places out there. I think you have to put yourself out there and pursue that kind of community and pursue that kind of education, and pursue like if you're into film, you're gonna be drawn to it. So I think just keep at it kind of thing, and keep doing the things that you want to do, and you'll meet the people that want to work with you.
For sure. No, I love that. And I think, I guess overall, it's really just like being immersed in that space and just taking advantage and taking what it sounds like is just taking advantage of all the opportunities, which I think is a great tool or resource just to share with people. And it's just like a really, really good reminder. And I think it's like a really good way to like, I feel like a really great way to like wrap up. I feel like we were able to.
I want to say one
no,
it's okay.
Thing. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was like, I'm waiting for the right time to cut in, but I don't want to wrap up just yet, because I want to say something about like confidence, because like this is also what the film is about, and like finding your self-confidence to do this, because when you're trying to pursue like a creative field, and you don't have a lot of that encouragement around you, it can be really hard. And something that the film, tries to express is like doing something before you're ready, before you actually feel like you're ready to do it, which I think is something that I did do even just by wanting to make this film, because if I'd waited any longer, like I don't even know if I would have done it. But also in like pursuing film and TV generally, like it is a very daunting thing because we don't see ourselves represented anywhere. But for me, it was a lot about mentorship, because I didn't know anyone, like no family members or nothing, like were in film. So I just knew I loved movies, and then like threw myself into these spaces where I would like force myself to go talk to people pretty much. Like that's how I ended up meeting like Charles Officer, and had this whole like experience of getting to work with him and some other folks in the industry that were just so at the top of where they are in the Canadian industry, and I was just like nobody. But I think it was also because like he was Jamaican and like Caribbean, like just like finding like the folks in like communities that who want to work with you and who want to support you. And there are people like that, that are ready to be mentors, or that are willing to give their time and their energy, as long as you are really passionate about wanting to be a creative. So I think that's just the last thing I would say around like finding mentorship and you know,
and not waiting
because you'll never feel ready
enough.
Yeah.
It's
you'll
true,
never feel ready. Like I still like I have crazy imposter syndrome all the time, you know, and it's like it's all I'm really doing right now is like film, but I'm still like anytime I have to type in like something that says career or like field and I put film and TV in, I'm like, is it really?
Yeah, like am I there yet to say that?
Can I say that?
I think it sounds like you got, well, we know that you guys have done a lot of amazing things, and I think that's really cool, and I think it really puts our community in a great space to like see the representation. Like I think that it's not a question. I think you guys definitely are the representation that we need. So feel good about yourself. I'm really, really excited. Well, we've seen the film like on our own privately, but I'm excited for the premiere. And
I'm living for all the representation we're starting to get. Every time I see something new, I'm so excited because I'm just like, finally, these moments.
Exactly. And I think this like, encouraging our community to come out is so important. And I obviously just want to thank you guys for like sharing all of this, because these are not, we don't talk about like Indo-Caribbean films or like anything around that. I've never had that conversation. So I've learned so much from you today. And I know obviously you have learned a ton as well, I'm sure.
I very much enjoyed the conversation.
Exactly.
I just think, again, like it's so cool to hear, like having, because we got to see the film already. It's really cool getting to hear all of these things that like go behind the scenes of what you see. And like, here's this like 15, 16-minute film, but then there's like 3 years worth of work, you know, that's behind it.
Into it, yeah.
And that it alone is just such an interesting process. And you really just see how much like heart is put into the work. So even off of that, like I really do want to encourage that people come out and support and see the film, because you've just heard all of the work and consulting and just all of the care that has gone into making this film.
And I guess on that note, like we would like you guys to just share your handles, allow the people to follow you. Where can they find you? Websites, social media handles.
All the information about One Day. Just give us everything, please.
Should we look to like camera or something? Or
you can look to your camera. Yeah, that.
Okay.
It's over there.
Okay. You can follow me on Instagram at Yazmeen Kanji, and I have a website, yazmeenkanji.com. And I have a consultancy called Films with a Cause for authentic storytelling practices. We just released a guide called Back to Ones about how to work with consultants for cultural specificity. And you can follow at Films with a Cause. You can follow the film at oneday.shortfilm for all the information on where the screenings will be and fun promo. And the Canadian Film Festival screening will be March 26th at 11 a.m. And there will be others to follow. And we're really hoping on doing a special thing with Brown Gyal Diary.
No, we're doing it. Yeah.
Yes, we're gonna do something special. But come out to the Toronto premiere, and there will be more for Toronto. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have any. You can follow me on Instagram at Becky Ablack, and that'll have probably the rest of the stuff that you're looking for.
Fair enough. Straight to the point. That's pretty straightforward. Fair enough. Well, thank you guys so much for doing this. I'm so happy. I know, Yazmeen, it's been long overdue that we've been trying to like put some stuff together. So I'm happy that we finally did it.
Yes.
Yay. Yeah. And there's more to come. It's been great. Thank you guys so much. And see you guys at the One Day premiere.
And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
Woo! Yay! Okay, perfect.